That's right. It is the team here over on Catch the Bus. We got Chloe Owens and Pace with us. And this film, I know it's an addition. I can't wait to see it. I'm looking at it right now. It looks amazing. This, by the way, is a short, but what's it about? Because it looks very interesting, and I love how it features you right there in the middle of it all.
um, well, just to start off, if I say anything, if I call say my dad, that's the lead actor right there. Peace is my father. So just so you know ahead of time when I start saying
Nice.
my dad.
You're right. I don't know because I can't tell by the name.
Yeah,
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 Peace Byron
you
is
know,
Chloe Owens' dad. Yeah.
that's it. But yeah, Catch the Bus is a film I literally wrote to help. Like, I just wanted my dad to have something like really cool to showcase him, his talent, and it's just been such a like rewarding success coming right off the bat when we screened. People have just been saying that, well, I won't get into it, but the film itself is about prejudging someone. An older man goes in for an audition for a sportscaster role, and is sized up to be a no, and he has to win over a very irritable producer. And in that moment, he does, and it takes him into a kind of a different memory of his life. And in that memory itself, he really is able to connect with the producer, and some amazing stuff happens in the audition. And at the end of it, they're both changed for it. So it's been a good run so far.
Well, I'm already loving it. It looks fun. All right. And I got to say, when you do that and you do it in front of a green screen, it's hard whenever you go in front of a green screen. You never know what's behind you. Sometimes you see a monitor. What was that like putting this together, especially, in a way that makes like people go, you know what? I like it. And I like the story of where you're telling this because sometimes it's hard to get in front of a camera for the first time.
It wasn't. I don't know. First of all, my dad and I rehearsed this like for months, so he knew what was up. Like as we were going in regarding like the backdrop and how we used the green screen itself. My editor was great. Like he built a whole station after the green screen, but we also used the green screen to be part of the production itself. So you would sometimes see green screen depending on the shot, and then sometimes you'd see like the actual backdrop that the editor built up. And so it's supposed to resemble, like a sportscaster room. I don't know if you want
Yeah.
to add on that, Dad.
Well, no, and seeing the green screen too really put me in the mood for James, who's the character, specifically because it makes it really real, and I won't say anything else either.
Well,
He doesn't want to ruin it.
Well, you got to give a nod to it to be able to get people to want to see it, of course, and then you got to kind of like allude to it. I'll read what it says, and you alluded to it. It says James, an older gentleman, is the last audition as a sports anchor. However, he's initially sized up to be a no by the producer, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of people know that feeling, and it's a very difficult feeling to have to overcome. And that's kind of what it's about, but it's more, it looks like, and again, it's just someone looking from the outside in. Looks like, again, not only about perseverance, but I think the interesting title kind of gives a spin on it, Catch the Bus. Okay, can you allude to what that means?
Well, I can. To get to this place, he has to take 2 buses. And the journey of that and what that means to him as he arrives at this audition, it all culminates and makes a very interesting few minutes with him and the person who's interviewing him and auditioning him.
All right, Chloe, obviously putting this together, you had a lot of support, it sounds like. I know, here at La Femme, we always talk about putting things together and doing so in a way that makes sense and then also kind of tells a story. It's more than someone in front of a green screen. It's really about kind of like when we see that trailer, we see him close his eyes and him kind of like, and then come alive, right? It's like, he's really giving it his all, kind of like you are in this film, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of hidden gems in there, and so I don't want to dissuade people from watching it. We actually just came back from winning Best Narrative Short Film, and my dad won Best Actor in another film festival today. And it's just been, people have really responded well to it. It's more about the idea of going for your dreams, but at an older age, where so much is about kind of the youthful generation and, what happens when you haven't reached it at a certain age? Do you just stop? No, you're supposed to keep going. And I think a lot of people have been able to connect to that and the message within the film. And you'll see that in the film as well.
Okay, yeah, and you can actually check it right there. Just click on again the tab right there when it comes to La Femme, eventive.org/films. You can go and find this one. It's very simple. You just type in "catch the bus." There's a bunch of posters there, but if you want to go ahead and support Chloe and of course Pace there, you can actually click on the pink tab right there, select the show, and then go ahead and support. And you can watch just that one, or you can watch all the great films for all access pass. But before we let you two go, look, I understand again, this is obviously not the end of what you want to do, Chloe. It sounds like you got more maybe with Pace.
I do. I mean, because people have been responding to it so well, I am writing a feature film right now and seeing if we can shoot it. It's just been like a really good response from the short. So that's what we're doing right now. I'm also just wrapping up post-production on another short film that's going to hit the festival circuit. Wildism, get ready. And that's coming out in 2023. And so, yeah, Dad and I are excited to keep working together for sure. He's really talented, and people will see that when they watch the film, and I'm so proud of him.
Well, I'm happy for you both. Pace, did you get an agent? Did you run it through your manager, or is she your manager now?
My agent and I have been very, very close for many years, but he's no longer my agent, but he's still in my life. So I'm going to be looking for new representation.
Chloe,
yeah.
Chloe, you better hit him up now. I mean, he's about to ask for the big bucks, I can tell.
Good. He deserves it. Someone needs to hire him for a sitcom. He's super talented, and I can't wait to have more people see it.
All right, I'm looking forward to seeing more of this and more of everything you guys are doing together. Good job. I love the part that you do with, Femme. I always say if you got a good one with Femme, I did something with my mom and I called it Driving with, wait, did I call it Driving with Mom? Oh, Ride with Mom. And she says some weird stuff like in the middle of because I sometimes get into a vehicle because I'm a judge and they give us a vehicle and then I get her fresh perspective in the vehicle. But I thought, I wonder if she'd be all right with that. I can tell you right now, when she knows the camera's on her, and it's recording, she doesn't do well. But when you just kind of push record and then you let it go, you get some fun stuff. And you're like, okay, we got to put that out there. So good job, you both. Of course, you got film in your blood, I can tell. So great job keeping it and keeping it in the fam.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Good luck with all your interviews.
Thank you.
Yeah, get some sleep.
I'm going to try. Keep on entertaining. Okay, more right after this. Stay tuned.
In the beginning, all films were short.
It's not a charity. We're not here to help you. We're not here to help your cause. We're there to make our money make money.
It probably takes a year to 2 years to really start seeing money.
That title of executive producer on a feature is not the same as the title of executive producer on a television show.
Because what you're seeing on television right now is history in terms of where decisions are being made today.
Don't give yourself a bad review before you start.
I'm sorry, I'm super awesome, and this is my pitch.
What are recommendations for packaging?
Getting to the right person at the right time, and you have the right piece of the package that they want to see.
And be able to adjust, because the plan will never execute exactly as you plan it.
If you set aside money for social media, for a publicist, for marketing, things like that, and really you don't have to sit behind those dollars and you can have more control of your own release.
You can't go wrong. As for me, I knew that my episode was either going to be awesome or fine. That's the risk you take.
That's right. We got the team here. We got everyone not in the camera. Can we move everyone in the camera?
We're working
There
on
we are.
it.
Tighter, a little tighter. No coronavirus. Okay, good. Obviously, you got a great. I'm sorry?
Nothing. Sorry. Continue.
Okay, here's the film. Without a doubt, it's a fun film. It's something that I think we need in the time we're living in. And I say this, look, keep it going. But tell us, for those that want to watch, it's about a girl, but it's not about just any girl, right?
Right. Yeah. Our protagonist, Kimmy, is she's quite the effervescent child. She makes everything into a really dramatic movie scene almost, and has a very big imagination, and everything that's going on in her life is a product of what she wishes it would be. So it doesn't always turn out the way she wants it to, but that's what she hopes.
Well, that sounds like a good film. I mean, it sounds like does she have more in her? Like maybe number 2, number 3, and number 4? Or it sounds like a series.
Oh yeah, it totally could be. Yeah, Kimmy has enough personality, I think, to last a whole series. She and our lead actress, Faith, she totally did the character justice. She really came in with a very fun and strong attitude to bring to the piece. So.
Okay. Now I got you guys all in the one, so I'm assuming your names, but I'm not gonna assume, because you know what happens when you assume. So we got Delaney Lloyd, we got Laurel Pierce, and Amber Steele. Okay, let me ask each and every one of you, what was it like working together? It looks like you have a good synergy.
Yeah, we've known each other for a while, but we've lived in LA for a bit together, worked on different projects, actually in television together, but we wanted to do something of our own. And so we we brainstormed a couple different ideas and wanted to come together, and we each had something to bring to the table. Amber is our visual cinematographer, director of photography, and Laurel has a great producing brain to bring together all of the pieces of the puzzle to make it all happen. So yeah, this is a great first time working together, and we hope to do many more projects.
And I think you're right. I think it is synergy between the three of us. We really did find something kind of magical about being on set together, and like, so like reading each other's minds in a way too, of being able to just, I don't know, operate in that realm. I think it was kind of special, this project. It really was.
Between that and the cast and the crew that we got together, it was a fun project.
It was so much fun.
Well, and that's a great thing. I will say this. When somebody said to me, I used to have like a host that we used to work together every single week. And if you don't get along, I mean, anything and everything that could like come at you is like, what do I do next? But if you get along with the people you work with, and sometimes you don't even consider work. I remember her saying to me always, she's like, just have fun. And I'm like, okay, but I'd stress out over like, I'm thinking the camera, I'm thinking the guests, I'm thinking the audio, I'm thinking all these things. But she says, okay, just have fun with it. I'm like, do you know how stressed out I am? But when you kind of can be in each other's like, because you understand like there's professional and then there's like, sometimes you leave the fun at the door, but then when you kind of say cut and scene, and it's like, okay, now everyone, like you have a result. And this film is a result of you working together. And I think the way I kind of see you guys, I think you have like more films to come,
Oh, we totally do. And I think that's like, one thing about this kind of group is that it does feel like everyone has each other's back, and there's such like an earnest level of trust between the three of us. It's like, oh, I know we're going to get it done because all of us have the same goal in mind. We're all fighting for the same thing. And I cannot wait for our next project together. I know that she's cooking things, so we're really excited.
What do you guys shoot with, by the way?
This one was the Alexa Mini.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie right now. I am like, and I when I look at a camera and I look at it like a package or a system, I go like, I want to film with that, but it's so expensive. So what's that like when you pull everything together? What? Go ahead.
I mean, this one was kind of like we had high standards for it, so we made sure that was going to happen. And since we all kind of are working out here in Los Angeles, we were able to use our connects, and it's blood, sweat, and tears going into these short films. And I think that that's what we did that, and we made our connects, and being able to get like the B speeds we had on these, they had this wonderful like triangle kind of bokeh in them, and I thought that was so unique, and it kind of took us back to a time period, because this is set in the early 90s or early 2000s, where that's where we're all kind of I think we had our heyday there. So it was able to like piece these two things together, and I think that it turned into something kind of magical.
Well, it looks magical, I will say. Bringing this film although it's a short, there's a lot of time, a lot of sweat, a lot of tear, and a lot of like you say, pulling people for favor. But if you had the right amount to be able to make this into a series, there's a lot of networks looking for series right now. They're all doing on streaming devices. It's almost like TV is like, yesteryear. But I say, well, not if you have a smart device, but if you had like your druthers and you had the ability to make this into a series, like what would you do with it and where would you take it? Kind of like reach out to that possible person that says, you know what, I want to make this into a series.
That's a good question. I think maybe I think there's an audience, a young adult audience that is constantly, you're right, looking for content. So Kimmy, her point of view, I think she is a little bit stuck in her childhood, as she's a preteen, but she's still stuck as in her childhood a little bit, in her fantasies. Then in this film, she uses a magic 8-ball to kind of guide herself into what she's going to do next. Like if it says yes, she'll do it. If it says no, she won't. And, when you're a preteen, you kind of let go of those toys and everything, but she doesn't, or she hasn't yet. So I think maybe it would be interesting to kind of grow up with her and see how she matures. And maybe it takes her a little bit longer to mature, kind of like a Lizzie McGuire or Pen 1-5 type show. And I mean, us women, like we can't get enough of that. Or maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I always want to see the stories of coming of age, like women's stories. So I think that, yeah, Kimmy could be, and without a doubt could be that series for sure.
Yeah, I love you, Amber. You kind of let them kind of, take the lead with this, but I can tell you're the brains there when it comes to biz and when it comes to pulling everything together. Because it takes when you said, look, she makes a good producer. I don't know if you understand what a producer, like, there's a special mind that makes things happen, and people go, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Do you ever find sometimes there's like people like are on the clock? You're like, we got to get this done. Are you ever that person, or do you try to be like, okay, we'll give it time?
I mean, I would say that Laurel and I are neck and neck for that, which I think probably makes us so productive. I think we were able to establish deadlines and make things happen because, like so much of this is us kind of coming together in our free time to make something happen because we want to see each other grow. And I mean, Laurel,
it was also a lot of, we need to make this day. We have kids. What we're not getting there. How are we going to make this happen? Like, can we cut this shot? Can we do this? Can we make it go faster? Which is always fun, but
you have to pivot.
There was a lot of pivoting. There was a lot of wearing multiple hats of she's directing, writing, doing hair. I'm doing makeup, calling for lunches. This one's trying to stress me out with ladder pods and jumping off of roofs. And...
No, we needed to get that high shot. It was worth it.
I get it. And when you work together like this, I say keep it going. You guys remind me, and you might be a little offended by this, but I apologize. But the sister, what's that? It's the traveling pants or something like that.
Sisterhood of Traveling Pants.
Work out. No, it's great.
That's not offensive.
Not even a little.
Oh, good. Okay, good. All right, because sometimes people get offended when I say.
Maybe for other people,
But that's what I mean. You got that thing, and I think you could even do a piece on that, maybe like in the 30s and the 40s with all of you, and then kind of like, and then at the end, like, you could cast someone else to be like your older self, and then you could be like, okay, what did we learn about these guys? You know what I mean?
Sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Which is basically nothing.
I feel like we find ways where one person might need a little extra help or lift up. We're really good at working and pivoting and bringing the best out of each other. So that's one of the things that made this project so much fun, was where I couldn't do something, Delaney was able to, or Amber could pull something. Like, we were all able to bring each other up and make it this magical project.
The Yaya sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. That's what I like. The Yaya girls. All right. Well, great job. Great film. I'm glad you brought it. Let me bring it up real quick for people to go check it out. Again, if you just want support, I'll call them the team, because I know there's more that kind of you pull together to make this happen. It's all right there. The film, without a doubt, although it's a short, remember, they put a lot of sweat, time, and blood into this. I don't know if you guys got cut along the way.
Sweat and glitter, actually.
Oh my God, so much glitter.
Even better, especially when you pull together to do, get the makeup done. All right, so thank you very much for bringing your talent to this. Can't wait to see more from each and every one of you. Keep it going, and can't wait to see what's next.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you.
We have with us Diana Davis. Diana, you got this film. It looks really good. Cult Cartel. Not gonna lie. I'm thinking based on that like poster right there. I'm seeing A, it's a feature, and B, it's a great film. Can you talk about it?
Sure. Thank you so much. Yes, we're actually a nonprofit film company. And so we make films based on true events, and then all the proceeds from the movies go back to aid the survivors. And this is about the FLDS, the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints on the border of Arizona and Utah, which that's basically their mecca, but they're all over the country, America, North Canada, and Mexico. And this is based on true events, although we've changed all the names. We don't even say FLDS, but and it's we went inside Colorado City, where we've been aiding these people that are virtually slaves. And this is since I've been helping them for about the past 10 years, since our first film, Cathedral Canyon, came out. This is a sequel to that. Although it does stand on its own, so it doesn't matter that no one's seen the first one yet from your festival. But we employed 28 of the actual survivors that escaped from the wrath of Warren Jeffs, who's now doing life in prison, and alongside Donnie Most, from Happy Days, Ralph Malph, and Jude Tyler from that 70s show. And then they did hair, makeup, and everything. And it's really from their voices about what they would want the world to know that it happened to them and is still going on rampantly in this country.
Yeah, it takes a discussion. We had another film kind of allude to like a cult, right? And what happens behind the scenes. And sometimes they want it out there, sometimes they don't want it out there. This deals with some very interesting things in which, I got to say, when that person like got mad at those kids all of a sudden, I kind of like, whoa, like, can you allude to what you're saying in this film?
Well, yeah, sure. It's really told because I've spent so much time inside Colorado City, and we actually just showed this movie for the first time in Colorado City to all the ex-FLDS members that still live in the city. They've been it's too complicated to go into, but the FBI did go in there and raid it. People might have seen that, remember that from, I think it was three years ago. But they just left the town. They left behind who was no longer any use to them and went up to South Dakota, to Pringle, South Dakota, would have a big town there. And they also scattered. So even though they're no longer controlling Colorado City, they are still having their main source of wealth is from child labor through big construction companies. They underbid everyone. So the movie really shows how these, young boys from the age of about 7, are taken out of school and they start just learning the construction trade. And with polygamy, when I first got involved, I thought it was, these pedophiles who just like young girls. And then as I got to understand and know them all better, they are, if you have your religion be that you need to, a girl in order to get to heaven has to have a baby a year from childbearing age, and then you practice plural marriage. Imagine the workforce you can get going there, and then you.
Okay, I have a question on that. I never heard that before, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think that I go, who came up with that?
Well, in so many societies, when they need to increase the population, whether it's just, religious, groups that don't believe in birth control just because they want to have more supporters of the religion for whatever reason, it might be tithing or just to be a stronger unit with and then it could be for good reasons that they firmly believe that they're doing so much good that they want as many followers to have this joy that they have. or
It's
it
a
can be.
man. It's a man. A man wants to impregnate a woman. Period. End story. That's I cannot get over the dumbness of this, because men are kind of like, in a way, going, hey, in order to get to heaven, you got to get a pregnant girl. Like, it's just to see. I question that, because I don't say that's not a God that you want to serve. That's a guy you like are told to serve, and then make the man feel good about himself. Does that make sense?
Yes, well, I really agreed when I first started, until I realized that these marriages were arranged. So these men were not picking out the girls that they wanted to impregnate. They were told that you're having this woman, whether you're attracted to them or not, and you better start having babies, and they don't belong to you. They belong to the church or the construction companies, and they're taken away from their families, and they start to work at around the age of 9. So you're just procreating for this so-called church in order for them to win construction bids from coast to coast.
And you're making pedophiles. I'm sorry, I have to say this. I have a thing about this. You're making pedophiles like have a day not in a legal way, like, oh, it's under the guise of religion or faith. And I say that's not what the Father's about. If anything, he's like, hey, why don't you enjoy not being, especially at a young age? Because again, that's you bring up something important about age. I remember saying 13, 14, and 15-year-olds are in other countries sold in this way. But when you're saying, oh, this happens in the States, people are kind of like, huh? No, it doesn't. You're like, yes, it does. But if this happened like in your own backyard with a pedophile, like down the street of a school, you would be up in arms, I would think, or maybe not. I don't know what we're living with, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the difference is that they're very smart. They breed from within. So that's the biggest problem that we've had, is people say, wait, are they going to come and take our kids, our young daughters? And no. They are breeding children like you breed cattle, as it's a line from the movie. And so people turn a blind eye, and they say, oh, they're just a bunch of crazy women in their prairie dresses that don't mind sharing their husbands, is like I had originally thought. And then when I found out about it, then I thought, okay, there are a bunch of, old men that are just pedophiles. But then when you realize they're taking 70, women, and sometimes they don't even, know who these women are. And it really is just like a puppy mill. So you do have your pedophiles that are, attracted to this. But then you have the other ones that are just, it's pure greed. Like, let's see how many kids I can have that go into, into this child labor. And it's manufacturing, and it's also crystal meth labs. And I mean, it's really, it's so widespread. So yes, they are obviously pedophiles, because what man would ever do that to some young woman unless they were incredibly sick? But then you also have the ones that are just so completely desensitized that women are like cattle. They just are there for breeding. And
I and they always quote scripture, and I go, you think you're an Israelite? Even Israelites didn't do that. If anything, they would have probably put you to death by stoning you. So
they've invented this religion that a man has to have 3 wives in order to get to heaven, and 5 to get to the higher level of heaven. So, and these men are just assigned these wives that they are forced to take care of, and then they're assigned another wife and another wife. And when I've gotten to know a lot of these men, it's been a horrible experience for them once they've gotten out. I mean, they don't want all these women that they don't even know all of a sudden all living in the house, fighting with each other. It's just, and I mean, they can't keep up with it. And they're just going to work every day, working as slaves for the church as well in construction, and just being expected to just continually procreate and handing over your boys to the workforces, and then handing over your girls to the church elders to, become baby machines.
Yeah, again, this is not something I ever want to be a part of, and I always question.
I would hope not. But but when we just showed it in Colorado City, one of our young men who's been with us, who we help. So what we do is once we show the movie, raise awareness, start raising money, and all the money goes back to get them education, get them jobs, get a lot of them, they end up on the streets. You do the math on it. There's just not enough women to go around for all the boys. So they start rebelling. They're, too charismatic. Out they go. So they're all living on the streets. So I got into it to help the girls, but now it's actually half and half, the boys. And all of them said that this is the closest of anything they've ever seen on the subject, to the being exactly as it is. And it's because they were script consultants. They wanted their story told. So this is from their point of view.
Well, I'm glad you did it. I know you got some star power there. I get the word out. It's a thing here in the U.S. I say, don't let it be. And the ones that suffer really are the kids, because they really don't have a life. And I know, I go ahead.
No, I say you're right. It's horrific.
Yeah, and people underestimate how bad it is, and trust me, you don't want more than one girl, especially in this day and age, because it's expensive to pay for any just one. So be good with what you're doing. There it is, Cult Cartel. You can get it right now. We're out of time, unfortunately, but again, for people that want more info, where can they go?
They can go to moviesmakingadifference.org. And we also have it just for a limited time available to be seen on the website, but hopefully they'll all come and buy tickets to your wonderful film festival. And we're just so honored to be at this particular one because it really is something everyone should know what's happening to women in our country. Actually, girls, not even women, girls.
Yeah, get the word out. All right. Thank you so very much for spending time with us, and we'll see you around the corner. More after this. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
In the beginning, all
We're having some technical difficulties. We'll be right back right after this. Stay tuned. Joining us right now is Lynn. Lynn, we appreciate you. Thank you so very much for joining us. Your film looks good. I know it's under like a few minutes, like a total of 6 minutes and 26 seconds, but it's an animated short and it looks, well, let me put it this way. It's called Friendship and it looks fun. I'm not going to lie. What's it about?
So Friendship is a story about two childhood friends and the journey they go through, when they're younger, all the way to when they go to high school and college, and how their friendship kind of goes in different directions. And, in the end, how if it's a great friendship, you never lose track of that friend. And so that's the nutshell of it. I don't want to give it away too much, but that's the nutshell of it.
No, I love it, and I love the style, by the way. I have a thought about a film, and I think this would be the style to get it like at least like picked up and then made, into like a full length because I'm not sure how you did this, but you did it really good, and it makes me kind of go, okay, how much time did it take to do that? I'm picking your brain for a reason. There's a reason. I have a really good film ready to go, and it looks like, but if it took like years, then maybe not worth it.
Well, we should talk about that. Maybe I could help you produce it and make it. But
Yeah.
the style of this is actually 2.5D. So what that means is the background is all 3D. So the environment, the cars, the bus, all of that is 3D. The 2D is the characters. And what we used was, after, the 3D software, we used Toon Boom to give it that kind of that 2D look to it. And so one of the things I wanted to do was give it that unique style that you just mentioned, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to have a style like a Toy Story. I didn't want to have, a regular 2D look to
Right.
it. And so I went with this style because I wanted to create more of a nostalgia kind of a feeling for the short film.
Yeah. Well, and you hit it. I think if anything, like there's a story that I did about a butterfly. That's not the one I'm thinking, about, making into like, a series. But I have it's about a prince. And I recently sent it off to someone that he's like a little guy. He's only 8 right now. And his voice, when you hear it, you go, that's Prince, there's a dragon involved, there's a kingdom involved, and I think this style would help it kind of get picked up. So I have to say, I know there's an investment of time. What is that like, especially for this? Obviously, you did this, and I think you got more coming, and you'll probably get so like busy, you'll be like, okay, I don't know what to do next. But do you have a team? Do you do it yourself? I found one lady that we interviewed yesterday, she learned herself because, her husband said, I think you should just learn it and then do it. And she's like, I'm never going to do it again. Probably because she did it all herself,
Yeah, no, I did not do this all myself. There's no way I could have gotten it done. It'd probably still be, in development. This project started actually during the height of COVID when we were all in lockdown. And the idea started coming to me about friends and how some friends come into your life for a season. Some come in for a reason. And if you're really lucky, you get a small handful that lasts a lifetime. So that was the seed of the idea of friendship. And from there, after I wrote it, we sent out a test pilot for people to read the script. We got amazing feedback from it. We started the animatics. I hired, somebody to do the animatics, and then began to source for the animation team to do the production work of it. And then on top of that, I was also looking for the music composer to create the music for this short film. So we actually ended up hiring a live orchestra to create the final music for the background that you hear in, the entire short film. We probably did about 26 musical takes of different variations before we had the live orchestra come in for it. So I would say all in all, because of COVID and, because of the chaos of so much going on in the world at that time, this project took a little bit longer than anticipated. It was probably close to a year to get done for such a short. But again, it was just unexpected times with what was going on in the world.
Well, I love that you did it this way. I keep saying to people, even though COVID hit and we're still here to tell the tale, it kind of showed people what they were able to do when it came to like, I'll give you an example. Like you could get a voiceover with somebody with a mic, you get them in a sound, studio if you need to. But I've talked to people that do like anime for Pokemon, and she goes into her closet and does a voiceover, and she could do it herself.
Yeah.
And then she sends that off to the person. They get that animated. So that person's working on maybe a storyboard idea, right? And then you could see it because you share like, either Zoom or Skype. You go, okay, let me see that. Okay, can I put that there? Or can I change this to that? And I love the style again because it's quick, it's simple, it's fast. And it's even like a good trailer for like books that, are like, I think like Harry Potter would have done good if they needed funds way back in the day to get made, So it's a good proof of concept of like a style that I think, good job getting a short out of it. I know it takes time, but it's something that I say you can use again and again. Unlike certain like line drawn art, You have to do page by page by page. These you can use again and again and again once you have them, right?
Yes, that's correct. And this whole short film was done via virtual production, as you just mentioned. It was, spread across the world from Australia to Colombia to Asia, so even to Argentina, just because of the fact that with COVID we were all in lockdown. But one of the things I did want to show is what you could do from a remote production perspective in storytelling.
Yep. Thank you for proving what I've been saying you can do when you're kind of forced to do it. And then you're like, hey, everybody can be safe at the same time. You just need a little funds to be able to pay the bills, the light, behind you, right? It doesn't pay itself, because some people have day jobs to support what they love, but sometimes they don't. And you like this, I wouldn't want you to work on something else because I don't know when I would get it. Sometimes you depend on people during, I know a lot of people depended during COVID on other people, but they had a day job, they have other jobs. So it's like, is it done? Is it done? Is it done? And then if you're calling a favor in, you really can't. That's why you kind of need at least a financial something. But if you have an idea, hey, I want to make a 3-minute short on this. I just need this clip, this clip, this clip, and this clip. And then I can show that to an investor. He'll say, okay, I get your idea. How much do you need? If you could get that made into a series, would you?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I'm glad you bring that up because this short film has actually now garnered interest to become a TV series because the characters are so rich that we have so many more stories to tell. And so it is the seed of this short film that allowed investors, TV executives to see what this world is about. Who are these characters versus just a script? I think that's one of the things that, has a lot of uphill battle when you just have a paper script and no images. Even if it's rough, it's still hard to imagine. But when you have a completed short film, you have painted the world. You have painted the picture of the characters. You have painted, people in their lives, their friends, etc., to show how much it could be extended. It's exactly what you mentioned about Harry Potter. If they had to start it that way, that would have been a great way as well if they needed to.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great proof of concept. And I think whatever you did to make it happen, that's why I keep showing it again and again. I'm not going to lie. People are going to get mad at me. They're like, you showed her trailer more than ours. What the heck? And I'm like, look, I got a reason. I got a storybook ready to go. It's a story. It's meant to be animated, but it could go film eventually. But sometimes the dollars aren't there for like a fantasy, and people wait all day long. And I say, look, get it into a comic form. Get it in. I'll give you an example. Keanu Reeves just did one. And people don't even know it was at the comic store. Now it's being made into a feature, but it's him writing it. It's his own creation with art. And it gives somebody the idea of, oh, that's what you want. And then you don't have to wait nowadays for like a following. I know Marvel does and DC does. They've had the following for years. But all you need is like something for someone to see. And like that, instead of like describing, because sometimes people don't describe really well. We've had some pitches. We have a portion of the fest where people can learn how to pitch, in a good way. But I think when you have like this, you say, this is what it's about, blah, 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 blah. And then you say, watch this. They, of course, watch it. And then at the end, you go, so, I see it going this, that. They have two things that they connect. So even if they go away from you, they still have that visual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And to add on top of that, what's really important too, as the creator and director, you want to stay true to your vision, right? Yeah. And that is sometimes very hard to do when you're seeking money or you have executives who are telling you their vision of the story.
Yeah.
And so when you are able to create a short, that actually protects your vision to showcase, this is exactly what I see. This is exactly who I see the characters.
Yep.
That way there's no misinterpretation from another person, right? And be like, oh, that's what you meant, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to be happy with the work you create.
Yeah. And you could use this again and again and again. I love that. Like you could have another story about a school bus. You could have a story about a university. Actually, I got a few films about that. Okay. Anyway, my point is this. Great job, Lynn. I'm going to find you on social media. How do I find you?
Okay, well, if you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you want to learn more about the short, you can go to friendshipshort.com to learn all about it. But we should definitely connect. I'd love to hear more about what you're thinking of doing.
Yeah, where are you located, by the way?
In LA.
Even better. Okay, I'll buy lunch, guaranteed. Okay, thank you so very much for spending time with us. Great job on this, and I can't wait to see it in its full because this is one of the very first I'm going to check out because I'm already hooked right from seeing that trailer. So good job. That means you got to win. Thank you, Lynn.
Oh, thank you. I'm very honored. Thank you so much, and thank you for just the wonderful compliments and what you do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, more right after this.
You know, in the beginning.
We have with us Laura. Laura, you've got a film. It's called Wower Woman. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is probably like something that's gonna. I got a chat and it was like Wower Woman. I thought they were talking about something else, and I'm like, yeah, they really are Wow Women. But it's kind of like a saying. I think you need to trademark it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that the idea did come up. So Wower Woman is obviously the inspiration is the power pose. Wower Woman is the story of a young girl, a quirky young girl who is depressed. She's in an abusive relationship, and one day she turns on her phone, and this podcast comes up. This podcast is led by this lady that's called Wendy Wower, and she's this quirky and eccentric lady, podcast healer in a way, and she has her very unique way to empower people. She basically shreds people to pieces to then put them back together and puzzle them back to their better version of themselves. Wower Woman, and she does that through this pose that she declares being a wower pose, and she has a sort of like a boot camp podcast. The short is part of a trilogy that's called Tune In, and it's meant to be followed by other 2 chapters, which is the sequel of this lady who's called Amy and how she grows up into. Obviously, I can't say actually what happens, but in any case, there are 3 chapters of her life until she becomes an older woman, and as well, the child that she is bearing also becomes part of the trilogy. Yeah, that's essentially the story. And it's not really a lead, but the lady that's called Wendy Wower, it was so fun to. I think I lost you.
No, I'm here.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It was
full
so
screen on you.
All right. She was so fun to rehearse with the actor that did the voiceover that I basically decided to do an entire spin-off of the life and of Wendy Wower, how she became Wendy Wower and the struggles of her life until she sort of reached this role of this wonderful healer. This isn't intended as a short, this is intended as a movie. So I wrote a pitch. Hopefully it has a way to happen.
Well, can I say something? I'm going to bring it up really quick because the way it's shot reminds me of something I used to like, and it was Pushing Daisies. I don't know if you ever saw that, and the style kind of reminds me of that, and it's done in such a way where it's like it could be episodic in a way where it's like you have different women, right? A bunch of them, right? Like 3, 4, 5, or 6, and each one is its own story of a woman kind of like hearing the broadcast for the very first time. You never see the woman, right? And then all of a sudden she changes her life, and then it like turns on a dime at the end, like almost like Twilight Zone-ish. You know what I mean? I mean, I might be going on a different tangent, but
no, but you'd said something that was in the intention. So the trilogy that I sort of just wrote out my intention, I wanted the life of this character. I wanted her to grow in the trilogy, but the truth is I wanted each lady to represent a phase in life. So someone in the younger 25, then someone in their 40s, and then someone in their 80s. And I wanted this to be portrayed by different women characters, just to say that we're all unified by same story. It's an empowering women's story, and it's also kind of proving some of the struggles that we go through, including sometimes abusive relationships. So it doesn't have to be, it's under the umbrella of the idea of the growth of a woman, but this woman will change in each short. It's just to prove that it has universal language.
Well, and I think if I can add like a thought, you know, I'm not doing credit. I don't do that. Although some people do. They're like, give me a credit. I say this, look, even if you have like a woman, okay, we had a couple talk about this, but it's getting away from a guy who keeps coming back again and again and again, right? She could even be kind of like maybe 30 or 40, right? But she goes back to a guy she had a kid with, but the guy is maybe not abusive, but he talks to her like in a way where it's like, are you kidding me? But she doesn't find her voice. And then she hears all of a sudden the broadcast and it pops up magically on the device, right? And she's like, what's that about? And she just says the right thing at the right time, almost like, hey, you, and we could pick a name out of the air like Alice or Carolyn. You need to get away from that guy. If you're ever gonna like, and then it goes to like a thought that she had when she was a kid. And then all of a sudden it goes like, but is that the life you're living? And then it goes like, you know, and then the guy comes in and she goes, she struggles to turn it off, but he's like, oh, turn that off, you know, this and that. So she secretly goes into like the, I don't know, into her bedroom, or kind of like she puts it back on like quietly, and then she puts it on, and then the you know, because it's a podcast, right? You could like continue.
It's an addictive podcast. You think because Wendy is present, it almost feels like she's next to you, like this one of these like torturous boot camps that you would do from sport-wise, and you feel that she's always guessing where you are in time and space. And it's just this crazy podcast, and it comes in many forms. It could be on your phone. She could be playing in the sort of TV in the background. She's everywhere. And once Wendy has you under her wing, she will not let you go. She would eat live squid and jump off a bridge in order to just make you heal and be a better version of yourself. That's how crazy Wendy is.
Yeah, and it's like every podcast happens to be tailored for that woman. Okay, stage 1, do this. Stage 2, do this. Stage 3, do this. Stage 4, is he trying to come back into your life? Stage 5, do this. And then like everything happens, she goes, oh, it's like a prophecy. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and then at the end of it, she finds a love. It's another guy, and that guy is like ripped, you know, he's got like abs of steel. And then she's like, oh, you know, and then she, you know, I don't know what you would do at the end, but I think it's something that you could kind of have fun with, and you could get to some people and they could be like, you know what, I identify with this, because I kid you not, I talk to women that go back to exes and I go, why do you go back? They like were the worst guy you ever talked about. They didn't support you. They took away like money from you because, you know, they said, oh, it's my business, not yours, even though they weren't in a, like, you know, there's a lot of partners that aren't in marriages, but then they have kids. Like I know one that had 3 kids, and he said, oh, that's my business. And it was like a lot of money, like $300,000 like a year, you know, is what he made. But he said, that is yours and this is mine, even though she helped him with it. And men are taking advantage of women like that. I have one where she like married a guy, he's an attorney, but he's not going to give her any money at the rate that, you know, like the divorce is like, I'm like, you're entitled to 50. But there's so many women that are like pressed, and it's almost like they're like kind of accepting that. And I think this Wower woman kind of pushes
they need a Wendy Wower in their life. Everyone needs,
ding, ding, ding. Yeah,
everyone needs a Wendy Wower in their life.
I love that.
I would love it to become where Wendy Wower becomes for real something that can be followed on the socials, and it really, because I was speaking to the actor, and it never actually happened right now, at least not for now. I actually was speaking to him like, why don't we make Wendy Wower a real thing? And it's this logo, this thing that we listen to, and then you just create some social buzz. I don't know. I really want Wendy Wower to explode.
You never see her face, Wendy, she's like Wendy, an angel. She's like an angel that drops in at the moment you need it. You know what I mean?
Right. She does have a face though, but the face only comes in the, what I would love for the spin-off, the movie of her would be great, because she's what I basically wrote it for a competition that I had a deadline for, and I wrote it in 2 hours because the idea was so complete, and Wendy Wow was so easy to write. And I wrote the pitch. Hopefully.
All right. Well, I think it has a life. Watch Pushing Daisies. You'll understand what I'm saying and then it's like a magical thing that happens at the end. They didn't do more seasons of that. I wish they had. But I talked to people after and I go, what happened? They go, network. It was a network. Like they pulled the plug, but it had so much life in it. And this has that vibrancy that goes like, even like I can see it like from England and then Australia and then like a woman like in Mexico and then Latin America and then one in Canada. And you like bounce all over the world. And all of a sudden the podcast is just the thing that you need at the right time, you know? Exactly. And you're kind of in a way, this is why guys hate it, but I say, whatever. Don't be that guy to cheat on her and, you know, treat her like nothing. It's kind of like in a way it gets to the people where when you watch it, you go, huh? And it gets somebody to think, am I living that life? And you'd be surprised how many are living kind of the same life.
Yeah. So it is on the comedy tone, but of course it's actually speaking to something that's out there that is not so pleasant, and experiences that I've also sort of spoken to people in their relationships. It's not a beautiful thing. It's not a beautiful world in that sense. So this is taking obviously a comedy note to it, but the idea was to empower women and make
find your strength,
Wendy
get your strength.
Yeah.
And then what I say, hit them in the head with reasonability and common sense, but some people just don't have it. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. Laura, thank you for spending time with us here on La Femme. And again, thank you for contributing all of what you got there. It's right there. You can check it out. It's called Wower Woman. And I'm not going to lie, I'm glad we were able to put this in because I know yesterday you were kind of busy and you didn't get to join us. But
I'm so sorry. I'm on a theater production and I completely missed it. So
no, it's okay. But I'm
sorry.
Well, I'm glad we fit you in, and thanks to Adam behind the scenes who said, "Hey, we got to fit her in." So great job, Adam. Great job, team.
Thank you so
honestly,
much.
You're the last of our 2-day. Like I've run a marathon. I don't think I've done that many hours. I have a show. It's not it could be a actually it is a podcast. I've never talked this much. So again, thank you, Laura, for bringing Wower Woman to everyone, because sometimes it takes a woman to get to the heart of the truth. You know.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Make it a great day, everyone.